see you guys.
We're live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Vibe Time with Geri and our Psychic Medium Roundtable talk. I hope everybody's had a nice day. I know I have. I spent it with Victor. But anyway, here with my co-host David Flowers.
Hey, everybody.
And our special guest, we got Vanessa Hogel, we have Miss Kat Gosh, and Teresa Sayre. She is on the phone. So
hello.
The purpose of our show tonight is to talk about different psychic medium topics. If we get that far, we'll see.
Y'all never know.
Yes, you never know what happens on the Vibe Time with Geri show. Many things. So how y'all doing?
Doing great.
Dandy.
Today celebrating my 47th anniversary.
I saw that. And how
Happy
sweet that you're doing it with us.
Yeah.
Aww.
He's watching a ball game and I'm in here with you. And we're both happy.
There you go.
That's really cool. Happy anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And you're spending it on Vibe Time. How sweet.
That's awesome. What was
A friend of mine is calling and his ringtone is bagpipes.
that? Is awesome.
That works.
That is awesome. I love it. I was like, where is that coming from?
My phone is actually in the other room. It's that loud.
Oh wow.
Oh my stars.
That is loud.
Sorry about
That's
that.
bagpipes.
You don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about missing a call.
No, I know exactly who it is.
Yeah. Special ringtone.
That's great.
I think my ringtone for David, whenever he does call, which is rare, is asshole. Asshole is calling. Asshole is calling. Your asshole friend is calling.
I used to have that one that was, and I can't say who it was for. It was years ago, but it was bullshitter alert. Woo, woo. Bullshitter alert.
That was for my boss. Yeah.
Oh, those were great. And now I don't think I've had my ringer on in years.
Yeah. I don't normally put mine on. No. Mm-mm.
No, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's our topics, ladies? Hello, Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie.
I'll get to the show here.
You're fired, Teresa.
Right.
You know.
Well, if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna pop in real quick, just because Geri and I had talked about this, and one thing that I did think it was important to bring up, because it's one thing that I'm asked about a lot, and one thing that we made a point to make sure people knew we weren't going to do on this particular show is live readings. And I know people are always asking, and especially now that people get on TikTok and other forms of social media, and you can't hop on one of those apps and not see live reading after live reading after live reading. And people ask me why I don't do that. I have a very real reason why I don't do that. When I do a reading, and I don't know about Teresa and Kat, but when I do a reading, I don't specify this is going to be this type of reading, and this is going to be this type of reading, and this is going to be this type of reading. Whatever comes through, and it comes through with force. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Do you really want me doing that live?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about in your personal life, in your private life, what could possibly come out that I might have access to that information that would come through in a reading.
Yeah.
To clarify that isn't just something I can pull out of your head. That is something that a deceased relative might have seen you do. That is something that I've actually had people who, I've had killers come through that have disclosed information. I've had victims come through that have disclosed information. I've had people that others have wronged come through, disclose information. So think of your own life. Think of things that could be exposed about you or somebody you love, and think whether or not you would want that disclosed live,
Exactly.
and then
Yeah.
decide whether or not you want to have that done. And if you're being read by somebody who actually knows what they're doing, and you're wanting it done right, and you're not wanting them to hold back, that is something you really, 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 really need to think about.
Yeah, that happened quite often with me over the years where someone would ask me, can you tell me if there's somebody around me? Can you
Mm-hmm.
tell me if somebody is trying to talk to me, communicate with me? And it's unfortunate that sometimes if you tell them, sorry, there's no one here. Well, I beg your pardon. I know perfectly well that there are. Well, maybe you can pick up on them. Maybe they just don't want to talk to me for whatever reason. Maybe they're just not willing to come through a third person. They're
Mm-hmm.
more likely to talk to you either in a dream or in some other type of reading. So they get a little miffed at you because
Mm-hmm.
you can't automatically pick up on whoever it is that they are. Or you will pick up on somebody that they don't really expect. And then it turns around again by them saying, well, I don't want to talk to them. Well,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm sorry. Sometimes you can't pick and choose. It's like tuning into a radio station. Sometimes you get, especially the old ones, where you have to fiddle through the dial. And if you don't get it right there on that specific station, you get static from everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I actually had somebody's molester come through from their childhood.
it's ridiculous when
Do you want that coming through?
people don't want certain people
Mm-hmm.
to talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you end up being the one that's the bad guy because they came through you. Well, I'm sorry, you're the one that asked me if somebody
Mm-hmm.
wanted to talk to you. So it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
Either the people accept who it is that wants to talk to them, or they accept the fact that the one they want to talk to doesn't want to talk to them. I mean,
Exactly. And this is why my readings are private, and why I don't expect anybody to put reviews up, because so much of what comes out is so unbelievably personal.
yeah.
And so many family members out there, people that people know, don't necessarily approve of or support the decision to do things like this. And I don't ever want anyone to feel like they have to be exposed in that way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And Steve White has a question. What's the difference between a psychic medium and a medium, or is there a difference?
Oh yeah. Take it, Vanessa.
Actually,
You are the
Teresa,
psychic.
honey, do you want to take this too? I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to dominate.
You ain't dominating, but go.
I've always heard not, and this is true. Not all psychics are mediums.
And the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Way around. It's nice to have both, though, but not everybody.
And I would agree with that. I'm going to give a very unpopular opinion. Very unpopular opinion. In all honesty, a psychic medium, a medium, a clairsentient, a clairaudient, a clairvoyant, everybody that has you can't, when it comes right down to all the juice that it takes to do any of this, you gotta have a little bit of all of it somewhere. It's like a stew.
Yeah.
It just depends on how many ingredients of each, how much of each ingredient you have that makes up the stew. Kat, you and I had this discussion a few years back, remember, about you.
Right.
And it's because people, the sad part about it is, especially in this community, be it paranormal or metaphysical, people have to label. And what I have found is they have to label because there is a financial benefit to labeling. That is the difference. That is the true difference. There is a financial benefit to labeling. The thing is, you can either feel things or speak to the dead or both. But it can change at any minute.
Yeah.
I have always spoken to the dead. I haven't always been able to see things happening in the future. You know when I could see things that were happening in the future? When the powers that be decided, hey, Vanessa, guess what? We're going to level you up. And that happened without any consulting with me whatsoever.
Right.
They chose for that to happen. So it does not, to me, make any sense to pigeonhole or limit yourself or make yourself sound any better than you actually are
Mhm.
by
It's true.
separating
Boy, I know
ability.
people like that. Oh, sorry.
Right. It does not help you. It only hurts everybody as a whole.
Yeah.
Because it causes a separation that need not be there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. For the conversation that you and I had those couple of years ago, Vanessa,
Mhm.
you really had opened my eyes to my own abilities that I had been not exactly denying, just kind of mislabeling, I guess, or just not acknowledging what I was capable of doing. And since that
Well,
time,
and there was a reason for that.
I, I was tired of being looked at like I had three heads, and also like if I were indeed one particular type, then I must be, like I was talking about at the beginning of the show, looking a certain way or behaving a certain way. And the stigma of how I grew up and the type of labels that people with my abilities got as I was growing up, you had a tendency to kind of shirk away from it. You walked away from it sometimes. And so, yeah, I denied who I was. I denied my abilities for, a very long time and labeled myself something different. And if not for yourself, Vanessa, and a few others, I guess you could say I kind of came out of my shell and admitted, hey, I am what I am.
Mhm.
And I'm proud of it. I know what I'm capable of. I have developed a lot of other skills since then that I didn't even know I could do, including psychometry. And I'm like, whoa, this is strange. But I'm getting very good at it because I'm finally admitting to myself that I am capable. I do have
Mhm.
these abilities, and I shouldn't just mislabel them and walk away.
Right.
What is psychometry?
Being able to touch something and getting the vibe, getting the feeling, getting even memories and that sort of thing from it.
Ah, cool. That's the first time
It's
I
Sometimes.
that's the first
strange
time I'd heard
sometimes.
that term.
It's
Sometimes it's cool. Most times it's not.
sometimes it's weird. especially if especially if you're on a battlefield or something. That's really funky sometimes
Mhm.
to do it on a battlefield because of the what
Mhm.
you pick up when you touch something. You go up to a building and touch something that's
Yeah.
seen something really horrifying, or touch the ground, or touch a log fence or something, and you get that. And I did it inadvertently. I touched something, and it was almost like I got a flash of a picture from a television set right in front of my face, and I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. And I said something to the person that was with me, and I said, "Were the did this building have a lot of damage to it or something? Because these stones don't feel like they're in the right place. It feels very odd." And they finally admitted to me this entire lower half of this building had been rebuilt. They were getting ready to actually tear down the whole back side of it. And somebody said, no, wait a minute, that's not what it was supposed to be. Put everything back. But unfortunately, they put it back, haphazard. So I was picking up on the fact that these stones weren't right. They weren't supposed to be there. They were in the wrong place. And then I also saw um, I guess you would say, I can't honestly say that it was General Lee, but I was told that it was on his white horse. Because that area is where he used to have one of his temporary headquarters. And I was picking all this up after touching that building. I
That's really
only got that impression after I touched that building. And I had never done that before. That's been about three years or so ago. And I've been doing it ever since. I guess once I got the juice, there it is.
yeah.
Well, if we ever get the privilege of meeting in person, I'm gonna wear gloves to shake your hand.
Okay. And what will I pick up?
No telling.
Oh boy.
Well, that'll be
Oh
interesting.
boy. What kind of gloves? White or black?
Lead.
Good call.
Play neutral. Oh my.
Steve White wants to know what kind of abilities did Nostradamus have as to when he was projecting future events. Nostradamus.
That we
Yeah.
would consider that psychic. But it's hard to label something like that, because you could also just truly label that as something as extreme intelligence. Being able to look at where the society was at that time,
Hey,
look
Copper.
into yes, look at the government, look at society at that time, look into himself as his own intelligence was. See what the capabilities would be, and knowing what he knew of himself, where that could lead. So that is another thing.
Yeah.
That is one thing that I don't think a lot of people really understand when you're talking about psychic situations like that as a whole in a world situation. Part of knowing what is going to happen is looking inside at your own darkness and seeing what you're capable of.
Mm.
That's a terrifying thought. You really thought about that?
People don't want to do that.
But you have to.
I know you do, but people don't want to.
You have to know your own darkness before you can know somebody else's.
That's right. But people don't want to do that because they want to look at the pretty side, and then they,
That's
you
called
can't.
the shadow work.
Yeah, you can't. do
Shadow
that.
work is so friggin' important. Teresa, you take that one, honey. Talk about some shadow work, would you? Because you can't be a good psychic or a good medium or anything without proper shadow work.
Yep, you got to. Yep,
That's true. Geri and I, we've discussed this
yep.
quite a few times.
Yeah, you got to go within. It's
I had to
ugly.
go through some things in order to get back. I had stopped reading for a bit, and during that time, I went through a nice period. It's ending now, where I had to go through shadow work. And now that I've done that, I'm starting to feel more at ease with myself, to the point where I'd like to get started back to doing my readings again. But I had to go to a dark place first.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not pleasant. I mean,
No.
Going back and
Never is.
going back and seeing things that hurt. It's not fun. It's just not a fun thing to go through. It's hard to explain to someone unless you're actually doing it. People don't understand just hearing about it, what shadow work actually is, when you go deep into yourself. That's basically what it is. You're going deep inside your own self.
One of the best ways that I've found to explain it to somebody, for me, I can't speak for somebody else, but for me, is taking your darkest moment, reliving that moment, but reliving it how you lived it at that time, and then reliving it again, how you would handle it differently, and acknowledging the growth from one to the other, and acknowledging the difference in you mentally, physically, and spiritually from one to the other. And you only know that you've fully done shadow work if there is a difference. If you are the same person both times, you need to keep doing your shadow work on that same situation.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was well put. I like that. Yeah.
Thank
Very well.
you. Thank
Mhm.
you. And
That-
sometimes, let's go ahead. Let's hit another nitty gritty though. People think that shadow work means that you would look back on a bad situation and handle it with, as you know, as Jerry would say, with love and light, and everything is just fantastic and you've grown so much. No, no, no. Can I curse on this one? Is it because this is on Facebook or is this on StreamYard? Can I say what I want to say?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes true shadow work is going back, reliving a situation and wishing a motherfucker would. Okay. Actually going through and saying, you know what? I went through this and I could not, because of my age or my size or whatever, I could not protect myself. I could not do what needed to be done in order to keep myself from going through this trauma or this heartache or whatever it was that I went through. Sometimes you have to go through and get your vindication or your validation or your revenge or your reckoning
Right.
in here, because you couldn't do it physically at that time.
Right.
And I mean that. And it is physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually imagining that and coming out the victor. And I know that sounds very volatile and it actually sounds damaging, and it's not. And I will give you the best example I can. In it would have been in Walking with Ghost. I had a pretty significant attachment. So I had one, and he's still somewhat with me, but he's much more docile now because, again, wish a motherfucker would. And I finally, through a dream, was able to confront him. And that is actually depicted in Walking with Ghosts. And in that dream, I have the drawings in there, and I am in this strange cave type situation, and I'm just buck naked. Okay. And he is in this odd type demon form where he is floating up above me with these wings spread. Now, keep in mind, this attachment has been extremely abusive, to the point where I've woken up in real life with bruises all over me in places handprints I can't get my own hands to, in positions I can't get my own hands in. Okay. And in this dream, he's floating above me, wings spread, and I'm battling him, and I am actually forcing this energy out of myself through my hands, and it's going straight through him and destroying him. Sounds very strange, right? He's been less likely to bother me a whole lot since. That's part of that shadow work. And it might not make a lot of sense for anybody else, but it made a hell of a lot of sense for me.
It's almost like confronting your own demons.
100%. That's what shadow work is.
Yeah. It is frightening. It is very frightening, because anyone who has had any kind of trauma in their life or had any periods of time of great sadness or periods of great loss or periods of great guilt, it's very, very difficult to try and tell somebody they need to go back and address it in order
Right.
to deal with it.
That's
Because
right.
let's face it, the majority of humankind, when they've got problems unless it's really slapping them upside the face, they have a tendency to be ostriches. They just put their heads in the sand and hope it goes away. By the time they
Mhm.
pull their head out, it's gone, or it's resolved, or somebody else is taking care of it for them. And
But it's not.
Yeah.
and
Oh, I was very guilty of that. Very. I used to say I had a hollow leg. I could shove all my trauma down into one leg and act like it was never there. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
it is frightening, and the average person is definitely not going to do something like that.
Mm-mm.
When I meditate, when I do have, a few moments to myself, and even my cats know when something else is going on in my life. They pick up on it. They know exactly what's going on. And the moment I start reaching in and trying to deal with something, I always inevitably end up getting in communication with either a relative or one of the spirits that has a tendency to just kind of wander in and out every now and then. And they will throw just at random a piece of advice at me, or a statement, or a phrase or something. And I'll think, what the heck was that all about? And then suddenly something happens and, oh man, that's what it meant. So they picked up on it before I even did. And it made me feel better, and it made me look back on things a little differently, maybe with a different perspective or something. But in the meantime, you're sitting there with tears running down your cheeks, or you've got a huge ache in your heart or your stomach or something. And for me, knowing that I am willing and capable of communicating with my loved ones and others, it's extremely comforting to know that no matter what I'm going to go through, something or somebody is going to be there to help me
Right.
along. And
That's
doing shadow work, you know it's like that. It's not necessarily, I think the term shadow might even be a misnomer, because in reality it's almost like bing, turning on a light when something happens. And
Right.
shadows don't like light. They shy away from it.
true.
Yeah.
Oh, you might want to call it something else. I don't know
Yeah.
what else, but yeah, once you start doing it, the light comes on and the shadows start going away, and they're never far away. They're never completely gone, but at least you've got them back where you can at least feel comfortable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Steve White says when it comes to telepathic communicating with spirits, is this pretty common
Oh
as a
yeah.
medium? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
All
I
the
always get
time.
the right side of my head always hurts when that happens.
Mhm.
Whenever they're trying to talk to me in a different way other than just as a medium, it actually hurts the right side of my head. It's almost like they're banging on it with an antenna or something. It's
Yeah.
kind of bothersome.
Yeah.
Mm. Telepathically is my preferred method of conversation because I mean, it's so much easier to have the conversation in my head, because if I start talking out loud, as I'm sure Kat and Teresa and Jerry, y'all can all attest to, you get really tired of strangers looking at you funky. So if
Yeah.
I can just have that conversation in my head, nobody else is the wiser.
That's right.
I've tried
So
that.
it's
I
all
can't do
gravy.
it. I can't do it that way. I have tried
I
many
can do
times to
both.
just silently do it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
either,
it's so much easier for me.
I
I'll
like
sit
both.
there and suddenly
Right.
I'll say something, and one of my cats is looking at me like, "What?
All
Who
right,
are you
David.
No,
talking to?"
full conversations in my head.
Oh,
David.
no.
When do
David's
you
got
when
you
do
just
you
go
when do
ahead.
you know if you're communicating or if you're just talking to yourself in your head?
Oh,
Oh,
it's
it's their
obvious.
voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you can tell the difference. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
You have
It's like
thoughts
the
that
radio
come
or the TV just
up
came
before
on.
you wouldn't think of those certain things.
Yeah.
It's only what spirit wants you to know that sending the information that
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
So that's how you can distinguish between knowing that you're actually talking to spirit or you're not.
Or wishful
Now,
thinking.
in all fairness, though, Teresa, in all fairness, that's a really good question that he asked, because when
Yeah.
we're all starting out, granted, I was real young when mine started, super, super young. But when I was after I blocked it out for a while, when I started getting back into it, there were times when I questioned. I'm like, okay, am I going crazy? Why in the hell am I thinking that? And I'm like, oh, it's not me. Okay. So, that's a very good question. And for anyone who is just starting out, really trying to understand why this is happening, it can get confusing. And so, I always tell people, I'm like, look, if you think this is happening, if you think that you're having spirit communication telepathically in your noggin, okay, get a notebook out. Get a notebook. That is my answer for everything.
Everything.
Grab a notebook, pen, paper, put it down, and start writing it down. Start writing that shit down. And if it doesn't make sense to you, you have two options. You're knucking futs, or it's spirit communication. Okay? So it's one of the two. And if you're not crazy, then it's dead people.
Yeah.
Okay? So if we can rule out one, it's the other. So if you're not crazy, it's dead people. So we're just going to go with that. Okay?
What
And
if
so
you're
most
both?
people,
What if
well,
you're
you know
both?
what? I hate to brag and all, but most people aren't crazy, and you know when you're not crazy when you can start validating what you're doing. And I was explaining this to my mom the other night. I showed her some of the pictures that I'd done, because everyone knows that I do automatic drawing, and I'd be at work, and out of nowhere, what appears to be a dead dude is in my head, won't leave my head. Okay. And so I'd grab a tray cover, because I was in dentistry for 25 years. I'd grab a tray cover just to get the dude out of my head, and I would draw him real quick. I have no idea who the heck he is. No idea. No idea whatsoever. I get on social media that night, and I'm like, y'all don't know who this dude is. Anybody? Takers? Bueller?
Leave me alone until you do.
Sure enough, somebody would claim him, and he's a dead guy. And it would be the exact person. They would show me a picture, they would post it, and it'd be the exact guy I drew. So, could I have been crazy? Absolutely. Was I able to be validated? Absolutely. So, hence Nessa not crazy for that. So the reason I say to write things down, draw things out, keep documentation, is to prove you're not crazy. If you can validate it, then that's communication.
I can draw stick people. That's about all you're going to get out of me. I wish.
If you can't draw it, write descriptively.
Yeah.
What are they saying?
Mhm.
What are they saying? What color are their eyes? What color are their hair? What are they saying? Are they giving you any key words? What does their shirt look like?
I'd rather be able to draw them. It would just make it so much freaking easier.
It would be if you're not elbows deep in somebody's mouth.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Steve White said, I know this is a bizarre question, but I'm curious. Have you ever made contact with somebody in the afterlife who used to be a medium themselves? Yes, I have. Oh, little cat. I hear the cat.
Well, my relatives.
That's Angel.
I have.
My relatives.
No. I have. When I have one particular client that I do Reiki on, and his mom did Reiki too. So when I'm Reikiing her son, she steps out and helps me with Reiki. But she was also psychic too, and it's just so cool because she has a certain energy to her, which is my Reiki is very light touch. Hers is really heavy. and I can tell when she takes over the session. So I just let her take over that part of the session, and I just kind of stand back and do work on the head part, and I let his mom work on everything else.
Wow.
It's really cool. That's yeah. Yeah.
The majority of my relatives were gifted. So
I got a
Yeah.
question. Just popped in my head.
Oh hell.
In the in the paranormal, there's a certain person. And I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm sure most of everybody's heard about him. That when a celebrity passes, they communicate through the ghost box. Is there any psychics out there that do the same thing?
Start rolling your
I
eyes.
have never seen anybody of any note that has any credibility, any ethics, morals, or legitimacy whatsoever that would do such a thing that I would give any type of acknowledgement to.
That
Well,
makes
aren't
sense.
you just a sweet bowl of pie right there answering that question?
Because I don't think that there is anything more disrespectful than trying to gain notoriety off of the pain of somebody's death and what a family is going through
Yeah.
in that time. So there is a special place in whatever they believe in that will be waiting for them.
Okay.
I
And
think
shame on them.
what you touched on, Vanessa, is an awful lot like what the spiritualist movement did right after the Civil War, and that
Mhm.
went on right after the beginning of the 20th century, where people had a tendency to just cash in on everyone's grief and wanted to contact their deceased loved ones to try and console them. But of course, everything was about this. Yeah, we're not going to do it for free. We'll be happy to conjure up your loved one and everything for a fee. And of course, back then they had trumpets flying through the air and the tables rising and people spitting up gobs of gauze and stuff from behind curtains and whatnot. And it's that particular stigma from that spiritualist movement that unfortunately that's what I was so wary of for the longest time, because right after that is when people, in the 50s and the 60s, it kind of gained a certain amount of notoriety once again. But at the same time, there were still so many people out there that were false that only
There
wanted
still
to do,
is.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so when I started seeing ghosts and everything and talking with spirits and having people ask me, well, is somebody around me? It scared me because of the stigma, for the reputation. And then it went full circle, and now they're doing it all over again.
That's
And it
people ask me why I don't want to do this for a living, or they're like, Vanessa, do you want to do this? Why don't you just do this full time? Not no, but hell no. No, no, no. And I will be very honest as to why. I do not want to be your bill. Period. I have people that have asked me, Vanessa, will you do a reading for me every month? Fuck no. And they're like, well, why not? Why should I? Doing a reading for you every month isn't giving your reading any time to come to fruition. You're
Right.
depending on me to make your decisions for you, and you're willing to pay me for it. I'm not going to take that money. That's absolutely ridiculous. That
Yeah.
is me taking your money for nothing.
Give them the
And
telephone number that
yeah,
you see on the screen at night. Call these expert psychics and
there
everything.
is no such thing. There is
And
no such thing.
Well,
And B is I would look at Edward. Yeah, no, look at Casey. No, look what happened to that poor man. I'm not going to drain myself that way. I have a job. My job pays my bills. I'm good. I make jewelry that pays my bills. I'm good. I help when I need to. I rest when I need to. And I don't care about ever being famous for doing this. No,
Really?
thank you. No,
Glad you have that attitude.
She's
don't
right
give
though.
two fucks.
It's about. It's not about trying to be famous. It's not about gain, self
Really?
gain. You
It's
know,
not about-
that's not it.
Okay.
You want to help people,
No.
or you
About becoming content creators to, oh, sorry. Copperhead wanted to know, he has a question. Why would a person that passed come to me and have me tell their daughter that was talking to me about them that they were fine? I have never had that happen before. She also told me to tell her daughter she was with her always. I heard the lady's voice in my head. I knew her very well. I have to say it freaked me the hell out when it happened. So do I have abilities I don't know of, or is it that I'm connected to spirit because of what I do? It's a very good
It's a very good question. And
Everybody has the abilities. That's just me.
it could have, yeah, everybody's got the same gift. We unwrap it differently. That could have been a one-time situation. It
Yep.
could happen every day for the rest of your life. There's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't believe in this. Some people are born with it, some people are not theory. I have a real
no,
issue with
I don't
that
either.
because I think that everybody, you can look at me all you want to like that, Mr. Flowers, everybody has the ability to tap right up into here.
Yes,
And-
David.
Yeah, everybody. We ain't to me we're not we just ours is a little bit enhanced, but you can get there. But the thing is too, do you want to do the work that it takes to get there? And people don't want to do some of the work that it takes to get there. So that's
Well,
just
and I have a theory on that. I want to bring that up real quick. You just touched on it a little bit, literally touched on it.
Mhm.
I also have a theory that one of the reasons that I'm going to see if Geri, Kat, and Teresa, if you are part of this special club as well, how many of y'all have suffered head trauma?
Yeah.
Okay, does falling out of a second-story window into a window well when you were a baby, does that count?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I was out, yeah.
Yeah.
If you have suffered head trauma, especially at a young age, you are more likely to be open to receiving psychic gifts.
All right, you got to explain that so people will understand.
Okay.
Well, I fell out of
all
a crabapple tree, guys. So I guess that,
all before the age of 2.
wow.
I've had 3 NDEs. First off, I stuck my head through a 50-gallon fish tank. This is all before the age of 2. Had my head stuck in a German.
That one sounded so funny, Vanessa.
Mhm.
I it's like you
Yeah.
did what?
Stuck my head through a 50-gallon fish tanks. I got my head stuck in a German Shepherd's mouth. I have a traumatic brain injury right here. I have scar tissue on my left frontal lobe from cracking my skull open all the way down to my brain, and I drowned in 10 feet of water. So all of the actual TBI, traumatic brain injury, right here, all before the age of 2. And I started, to my recollection, my first experience was I was born on my grandmother's birthday, March 14th, 1972. She died February 5th, 1974, before I was to turn 2 on March 14th, 1974. She was my first experience.
Well,
Most people that I have talked to that have profound abilities have had either brain injuries or injuries to the head in their youth. And what that does is that has either invoked some type of scar tissue on their brain, or that has caused some type of mild seizure activity, which would be like petit mal seizures, like I have, which are the ones that are the kind of slight staring off into space. They can go undiagnosed for decades. Okay. You will find yourself, you will most likely have been accused of being, oh, they're kind of daisy. They stare off into space. Those could 9 times out of 10 be petit mal seizures caused by brain injuries. I'm not diagnosing. I'm saying that could be a possible cause. But most people that have these type of abilities suffer migraines, extensive migraines,
I'll have
have
this.
have difficulties dealing with very bright sunlight,
Yep, that
eye
would be
sensitivity.
oh.
Need I
People
go on?
People sensitivity is mine.
Yes.
Jerry.
Teresa, am I hitting any bullet points here for you?
Yeah. That was
Uh-huh.
really, yeah.
David
Yes.
Flowers, I mean, you've ridden horses and bulls and everything else, and has hurt you several times. So, where's your abilities?
He hides them.
I left him on the rodeo arena.
Actually, if you don't mind, David, I would like to interject on your behalf. His abilities are less with sight and more with touch and with smell. The interesting thing with David is when he walks into a particular place, he gets a weird sensation that he chooses not to recognize, but he will find himself actually stepping away from somebody when they have an odd sense of smell or a weird energy about them. And he will automatically go on the defensive, almost as if the hair is raising on the back of his neck, not from something spooky, but in a defense mechanism, as if he doesn't like the vibe that they put off. And he automatically assumes that it's just because he thinks that they might be a negative person, but it's actually a reaction to their aura that they're putting off. And he considers himself to be probably more of just a standoff person or just a good judge of character, which he is, but that is actually him reacting to their energetic field.
Did you get all that?
Yeah, she got you good. She really got you good, David. I'm glad someone else said it to you.
I never thought about. Honestly, I never thought about that.
Not everything is cut and dried. Not everything is, hey, I see a dead person over there. I'm going to go chat with them. There are all different kinds of gifts. They're all unwrapped differently. They all have different purposes, and they're all just as important as the other. Nobody is any more special than anybody else.
That is not true.
Period.
I am special. Nope.
Oh my stars, except for Geri. Okay, except for Geri. She's the most specialist at them all. But no, it's like I said, it's okay. It's like gumbo, real good gumbo. If you don't put the bay leaf in at the right time and take it out at the right time, it ain't perfect. If you don't put the okra in at the right time, it ain't perfect. If you don't put all the ingredients in at the right time, it ain't perfect. If you don't cook it at the right time or for the right length of time, it ain't perfect. All the ingredients are important. Psychic abilities are like gumbo. They all matter. All the ingredients matter. You don't have to have, each person doesn't have to have all of them, but for the psychic or the paranormal or the metaphysical community to work as a whole, you have to respect all of the abilities.
Yeah.
And too many people get too damn big for their britches, thinking that they are the end all, be all, have all, and that they are the only ones that matter. And I'm going to tell you what happens when you get too big for your britches. Your zipper breaks and your willy shows, and it ends up not being very impressive.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, yes, Copperhead.
I said what I said.
Yeah, yes, you have.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you ladies, especially. Have you ever actually channeled a spirit? In other
Oh
words,
yeah, all the time.
I have.
in other words, you have allowed them to use your body, your voice, and everything else to talk?
Yep.
Not on purpose at first, but yeah.
Okay. So I have been asked if I would like to try and develop that ability to do that. And for me personally, I guess I'm a little afraid of it because I don't like the idea of allowing myself to be so open to have something or someone else to have control over me. I guess that's for the same reason that I will never give my DNA to, a place to find out who I am. I can find that out from my families. I don't
Mhm.
need somebody to look at my DNA to tell me who I am and where I came from. So to me, channeling as a part of being a medium, to me is a little invasive. Having them talk to me is one thing and give me impressions, give me pictures, words, and that sort of thing in order for me to interpret what they want. But the very thought of allowing them to use me, that's
Mhm.
that's that's scary. So you say
Um,
you only did it inadvertently, or I mean, it was accidentally, or are you
or no,
allowing
no.
it?
My first time, it was not voluntary.
Yeah.
My first time was not voluntary. And my first time, Marie Laveau actually did it. She took me to her tomb. It was my first time in New Orleans.
Wow.
So, and yeah, there was a bunch of witnesses too. So that was um that was odd. I have no recollection of it. Everything that's in the books is from eyewitness accounts. So, matter of fact, I don't have recollections from any of my channeling experiences until my second to my last trip in Ireland, when I was actually able to keep part of me in there.
Mm,
So I don't recommend. I'm only do I do it now because I now have control over it. But I was not a voluntary participant when mine started.
okay.
I would get jumped. So, and it all started in New Orleans, and it happened multiple times, different trips in New Orleans. So one time I am literally jumped and dragged to Marie Laveau's tomb. The next time I'm jumped and dragged to Jacques Saint Germain's house and trying to break in. And I wake up on the sidewalk on my back. All of this in front of witnesses. So this was not voluntary for me. So I don't recommend. I don't recommend. I'm no offense to whoever is offering this to you, but I am highly skeptical of anybody that would offer to teach this,
Right.
because as you stated, this is highly invasive.
Yeah.
And it is extremely dangerous, because I've actually been in situations where my health was actually in danger. My physical body was actually put in danger, because you can be jumped by not just one spirit, but multiples at
Okay.
once.
No.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I let them know.
absolutely
No,
not.
no, I let them know. No, that is not something that I would even remotely consider.
No,
No, not at all.
no.
I do mine under supervision.
Yeah. There was at one point in time when there was probably 30 of them in me. So no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I got jumped.
Yeah.
And
I did too.
I had to have people come in because that son of a gun didn't want to leave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was caught off guard on that one.
I mean, an attachment's bad enough, but something
Yeah.
like that, nope, not happening.
No. No. 2 thumbs down. No. Mm-mm.
Wow.
Guess there's your answer.
Thank
Hard pass.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I just play the bouncer. I don't do that stuff.
No, and honestly, nobody really should voluntarily. They really shouldn't. And if I can keep from it, I do. But like I said, my initial times, I didn't know it was happening. I wake up 18 blocks away. No idea how I got there.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't think I could go through that.
Risky.
yeah,
Yeah.
very,
So
Thank
there's something
you.
about New Orleans with you, huh?
very much so. I do love New Orleans, but yeah, that part that's not a lot of fun.
Mm-mm.
You know. So, but yeah. But at least they didn't hurt me. The ones in Virginia were trying to hurt me.
Oh yeah, they didn't like you very much, Vanessa.
Oh no, they were wanting me dead.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was at a private residence and I got jumped by probably 30 of them. And they had me running barefoot down a gravel driveway heading to God only knows where, and I had to be tackled in that driveway and basically brought to the ground. And from what I understand, I let out a scream that sounded like 30 separate entities coming out of my body. So, yeah.
It's not recommended anybody sit around and try to play around with that.
No.
Seriously, no. There's too many kids I see on YouTube. They're trying to do that.
Ooh.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? And then they're bringing something home.
Yeah.
And I want to know why this is happening. Because you were acting like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you knew you shouldn't be doing it, and you did. And now you brought the thing home, and now you got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the same mentality for some people, that they think it was really smart to be chewing on those dishwasher pods. So go figure that one out.
They're probably the same people that made it necessary to put for external use only on a curling iron. For God's sake.
God. Lord.
I can't even. I mean,
Just-
for real.
Brains. Yeah. Common
What
sense
did I
is not
say?
common anymore.
What did I say before the show? Some people's kids. Some people's kids. I don't even know.
Uh-huh.
Oh, good gravy. But yeah, but no, it's basically I think the moral of the story is, you know, if when it comes to all this type of stuff, if something sounds shady, it is. If something if something feels wrong, don't do it. You know, if you want to progress and learn more about all of this type of stuff, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a shit ton of work. You have to be willing to fall on your face. You have to be willing to be wrong. You have to be willing to be held accountable.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not forget the most important part. Be held accountable. And you have to be willing to be honest with everybody and yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to be in it for the right reasons. So if you're not, just stay the fuck out. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, toodle.
Right
Yeah. You are
God, I'm just a
absolutely
bucket of sunshine, aren't I?
right.
I like
Just
you.
sunshine.
I like you.
Thank you.
Tell the truth.
We're like 4 people in the world. Thank you.
Well, your mom likes you too, so that's 5.
See, my son, 6.
Yeah, okay,
2
6. There you
hands.
go.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Got a half a dozen. That's better than none.
There you go.
That's
I'll take it. Oh,
That's
goodness.
right.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at the time going, I cannot believe it's like 9:00 already.
It is?
Yeah.
I've only had a sausage biscuit today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. God.
No.
I had
I
a
ate
16-ounce steak before we got on here.
Oh.
Oh, dang.
Mm.
Wow. That's not fair.
About a 4th of that sounds good. I could do a 4th of that. That sounds good, though.
It was good.
I bet it was. I bet it was.
Well, well, we appreciate y'all coming on and
Yes, we do.
talking. I like to do psychic roundtables once in a while, so I'll give you the dates of when our next one is.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to put information and just different topics out there. You know, there people have so many questions. There are a lot of misconceptions about psychic mediums, and I just think education is important to me. I mean, it's helping others too, and that's a big pet peeve for me.
Well, I wish there would have been things like this when I was getting back into this. You know, after I'd blocked it for so many years and trying to learn who I was again. There wasn't nothing like this back then. There was small groups of people that met, you know, in little coffee shops and stuff, but there wasn't nothing like this. And it would have been so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad we do it as well, because the information, and the thing is, they can deem from it what they wish. They can listen or they don't have to. They can take from it what they feel suits them and toss away what they don't feel suits them. That is fine.
Right.
Everybody's an individual, and you have to use whatever you have to the best of your abilities. And any psychic or any medium that you speak with, no matter who it is, me or anybody, you take it with a grain of salt. And if you don't accept what that person is giving you, look and find out, well, why is it that you don't believe it?
Right.
And, you know, I don't care if somebody doesn't believe the information that I've given them. I know where it came from. I know whether or not it's genuine.
But don't forget the cardinal rule that follows every aspect of life, and including this one. Whether you believe what we're saying or not, you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and the
in
spirits
this, just like
don't
anything,
always tell the truth either. And that's the one thing that gets me sometimes. You know, they seem to think, oh no, they're always going to tell me the truth. Oh, I beg your pardon. If they lie to you in life, they're going to lie to you in death.
Oh yeah, and not everything's a demon. Some people are just assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's plenty of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good gravy.
So I'll give you a date of when we do the next one. It'll be a couple months. If y'all are up for it, it's up to y'all.
Certainly.
You know,
appreciate it.
Yeah. Because like I said, it's always nice to education.
I'll have my roots done by then. Yeah.
Please.
I know, right? It's so offensive. Oh, keep tucking it back behind my ears so y'all don't see.
Oh my gosh. Who cares? You're pretty either way. It doesn't matter.
Oh, bless you.
I think you should not do your roots and just let it go the way it is and see what it turns out. Because I bet you that color will pop your eyeballs.
Oh, honey, it'd be gray.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be gray.
I stopped coloring my hair about 4 years ago. I figured, well, what the heck? I worked for every damn one of these gray hairs. I'm just going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
I think once I hit 60, I'm going to do that. And I'm 52 now. So let me get to 60 first. Let me get to 60. You know, goddess willing, I get to 60. Then I will do that.
You got a while.
But I just chopped off 18 inches. So let me keep it red for a little bit. You know, I did 18 inches. I just chopped it all off. So, it's so much lighter, you know. And I can't hide behind it now. So, anyway,
well, we appreciate it, you guys.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
This was fun.
Yep.
That was nice. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. We're going to end our live. We will see y'all next week on Vibe Time with Geri with John Stevens. And we'll be going over, is it that time already? Paranormal events already.
Already.
Gosh, already. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate everybody that came on and supported us tonight. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.